it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something happened,
Yeah.
but at any
That's
rate,
awesome.
so. Well, cool, man. Well, it's great to meet you. I'm looking forward to delving into your work and your life. And before we get to that point, 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out how are we going to get out of this pandemic, all the
hmm
ramifications. So ultimately, how did you get out of it? And how did it change the way that you do things now?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. How did I get out of the pandemic? Well, I would say it's probably not an uncommon story that I got out a little bit later, right? Like it wasn't normal life, obviously, in 2021 and 2022 was kind of my turning point year in that I had multiple burnouts. I was just like doing everything for our agency, um, on our way to multiple seven figures, which is great, but you don't really like care too much about the money when you're in it and in the weeds. It's more of like how do I manage the day to day, and I wasn't doing that incredibly well. So I burnt out first officially in like April 2022. And so that had me hop on a plane and just take a week off and not talk to anybody. So I like left my wife and my 1 year old behind to just chill out. And then I thought I was better when I got back. And then by December, I burnt out even harder the second time. So I would say the turning point was really, I don't necessarily want to call it rock bottom because there's probably worse than what I was going through, but it was my version of it for sure. And so that same day, I was December 26th, 2022, when I burnt out. The second time, I had just sent a 93-minute voice note to my business partner because I don't even recognize that person, and I was upset and tired and all that. And so then I did two things. I like made sure I got my anxiety under control, so did that like professionally, and then started networking with people soon after that. And I realized, oh, okay, everyone else is like doesn't have it figured out at all and they're just trying their best. That sounds great. Let me talk to as many of those people as possible. And so from then, I at the time I had like 700 people I was connected with on LinkedIn, and now we just I mean it's no big number for the people I am trying to emulate, but it's just tipped over 5,000 this week. So
Cool.
yeah.
So here in 2024, you're in digital marketing.
hmm
And you're obviously highly motivated with what you do and you do well. If I'd have put you in front of a bunch of third grade students at career day and one of the kids was like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
It's the same thing I give to any adult who doesn't understand it is basically I help websites look good in Google. And they're like, "Oh, how do you do that?" We write content and we make sure that they're saying the right things and about what they want to sell.
Yeah.
And then I typically give an example, Joe. So I'll say like, say you're a local restaurant here and you want to do brunch, I can help you look rank for brunch Milwaukee or, brunch spots Milwaukee or whatever, something like that in Google. So it is obviously a highly technical field. I wouldn't say I'm a technical expert by any means. I've been in it for over a decade, and my true aptitude is actually making it accessible to clients, right? Because they know they need it, but they don't really know or even care the details of it, nor should they. They have a business to run.
But you also, not only do you have to have a technical acumen, you have to have a level of understanding how life works, a level of social psychology.
Right.
So how did you acquire this level? Because I understand bots and putting things out in front of people, but you got to dig a little deeper. You have to know a little bit more than that. How did you acquire this skill, this kind of swami skill to get people to the top of that?
Yeah, kind of the soft skill side of things. Yeah, I would say honestly, first of all, I am just a psycho for it. I say I'm kind of a freak for like people problems. I really enjoy challenging people, and I see challenging people not as, oh, they're a tough personality or they're just being a terrible client or whatever. I see it always as like a misunderstanding or communication issue. There's a blind spot they have that I can maybe uncover, and that's the challenge I really enjoy. I would say in terms of how I acquired those skills, I didn't know any better when I graduated college. I graduated with an elementary education degree, but one of the jobs I had while I was trying to pay my way was in a call center. And it was me with like, it was like an official call center. It wasn't like a down on your luck type place. Like these were people who were making good livings and that sort of stuff. And so I was like the only college kid in there surrounded by 40, 50, 60-year-old people. And every time there was like an irate person on the other end of the phone, they would always check to see if I was already talking to someone. Because if I wasn't, they would just transfer it over. And as a 19-year-old, I was like, oh, this is normal. That, this is what I do. Right. Of course, in hindsight, it's them very much just like avoiding the problem and not working on those skills themselves. And so because of that, I think I I I think I'm a really good listener and then an action taker right after that, right? And then in terms of my personal philosophy, I'm just addicted to solutions, not how I feel, right? So I'm very quick to say if something went wrong, like I'll own it, even if I'm not solely responsible for it, because to me, that's just a barrier to actually accomplish something great. The longer you focus on something that is misunderstood or no one's happy with, I just I don't really think that helps anyone, which is why like as a marketing agency, we have people and we have 100+ touch points that Google wants. Like something's gonna break. And I tell clients that day one, I can't promise nothing will break. In fact, it probably will, but I can promise how I'm gonna respond to it.
Yeah.
And that sort of statement really gets them on side. And I never try and give money back. I always try and give them more work because giving money back is kind of a backward step to me. I think it's okay, hey, this thing broke. We acknowledged it. We fixed it as quickly as possible. That's still inconvenient. Totally get it. If it was me, I would want something too. Here's like $500 extra value of X that you don't have to pay for, right? So it's a long answer to I just really in I think it is something we're getting further and further away from, right? Is people listening to people. They're always trying to the quick solution or can AI do it for me? And I agree with most of that, but I still think the business side of it is really down to can the person on the other end clearly see value or not?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that's dependent on how it's communicated.
What did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
Third grade. I think at the in third grade I wanted to be a zookeeper or like an NFL player, right?
Yeah.
Probably both, because as a third grader you think you can do everything.
Sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
What did you want to be in the third grade?
Well, I wanted to be on, I was watching Chips growing up, so I wanted to be with Poncho. I wanted to be on the
Mm,
California highway and just riding up the coast. And then I saw Cops when I was a teenager and saw what it's really like. And I was like, yeah, hard pass, man. I think I'm going to
yeah,
find something else to do.
100%. You learn new information and you took a pivot in your mind. I totally
That's
get
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But athletes, that I was always into the whole sports world. But in high school, I was 4'11", so I picked running. And
Mm.
there was no way I could compete with the level of things that were going on. I mean, it was possible, but I ran. So um
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
the
I
only.
actually, since you're into sports, you might appreciate this because I don't live like the high school glory days by any means, but I
Yeah.
lived in a really small town, right? And so just for lack of bodies, I was like our starting running back, and I'm not big either. I'm only 5'9" and that kind of thing. But um I had the most I had the most touches in the state of Iowa my senior year, which
Wow.
but I didn't have like the most yards or the most touchdowns. So translation, I got the crap kicked out of me, right?
Oh no.
And so uh at the end of every season, we would sit in the head coach was a chemistry teacher, and we would sit in the chemistry classroom, and he would go to each senior and say, "What are you gonna miss?" and blah blah blah. And so he saved me for the last because like team captain and all this stuff, and I just liked playing, right? But by then I was spent, and so he gets to me. And other people were saying like, "Oh, I'll miss the crowds and I'll miss the lights and I'll miss the brotherhood." And I'm over. And when it became my turn, Joe, I just said, "Well, I'm not going to miss it." And he gave me just the sharpest dagger of a look, and I made a decision early on. I was like, if I can't go Division 1, then I'm not going to continue to pursue this. So to
Yeah.
me, it was like a chapter ended, and I was very sore, and I was ready to try and learn something else.
Yeah, it's weird when you say that. I'm a big baseball fan, and the guy that's gotten hit the most, I think in baseball history, or one of the most, his name is Jim Rice. And I
Hmm.
just can't imagine getting plunked by a 80, 90 mile an hour baseball at that frequency. Because we see it and we're like, oh man, that had to hurt. But they have a mode. They kind of shake it off. But they got to have like bruising that's like that
Yeah,
big for at
it
least
starts
three
black and
days.
blue, and then it
Yeah.
turns yellow, and then yeah, and it
Oh
sticks around
man.
forever. Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah,
yeah.
to get waylaid, that would not be fun. So, let me ask you this. Who's been a hero for you in your life?
It's been a hero. You know, it's interesting because I feel like I'm entering or have just entered the second phase of life because I come from a background, very small town, like I said, and there's zero judgment on those people there. It's not my people anymore. You know what I mean? Where it's a lot about what does somebody think of me or, how much money do I have and all that sort of stuff. And I'm over here being like, yeah, but wouldn't it be amazing if marketing was accessible to a third world country? You know, like that sort of stuff, which I don't know how to solve that problem, but those are the sorts of things I'm thinking of. So I would say like heroes of mine in the past were honestly people who were m most accessible to me. So no one that anyone listening to this would know, but like it would be it would be like a coach who took a little bit more time or tried to connect with me a little bit deeper. Ironically, I had a couple, this is going to sound really arrogant. It's not meant to at all. It's just ironically, I had a couple of high school coaches like name their kids Colby as well, which I took to be like, oh, okay, you know, as I was a teacher once, you never name your kid after the problem kid. So I was like, okay, sweet. At least they're not repulsed by the name. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I would say like those guys, like there was a level where I could connect with them more. Now it's there are so many examples. One that really sticks out, and I reference him all the time. He's actually younger than me. His name's Tom Noski, and he is an Australian who basically just all of his philosophies around creating, networking with people, building his own thing. So he runs a live cohort to basically teach people how to use their personal brand, talk about whatever they want to build a successful online business. I'm not in his cohort at all. We've never emailed or spoken to each other. I just look at him from afar and I'm like, the way he goes about it is the way I'm trying to go about it. He's just further ahead, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe not so much a role model as like a true north of what I'm trying to put my time and effort into in my own way. Of course, I'm not trying to copy him by any means, but I just really, really like his philosophy around it.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, spend a little time with them, who would it be?
Well, yeah, alive is a key word there because all
Yeah.
my other I guess all my other heroes like you know, Anthony Bourdain, Ernest Hemingway, those sorts of stuff. So I guess I could have answered that way as well. Of course, they're all dead. So
Yeah.
who would I meet now? Spend some time with. It could be something like that. I feel like I'm very much a self-starter, right? So it's kind of one of those things where instead of like meeting this iconic person, I'm breathing rarefied air. It's more to me of I think they're those sorts of people like I don't know Elon Musk or Jay-Z or whoever like they're giving so much to the world already. I don't think there's any secret there. In fact, the longer I'm doing this, the less and less of a secret it feels like. It's more literally is just it's not talent that wins, it's endurance, it's curiosity, it's those sorts of things. And I feel like I possess a ton of that. It's just how deep does that go? I don't know. So I'm constantly on the can I pursue my full potential because I'm a firm believer in whatever you can imagine, your full potential is at least one step further than that, right? So if you think you'll make $1 million someday, your full potential is saying, it's way more. But if you can imagine the $1 million, you have no idea how far that goes. And so I'm not answering your question at all, but it's because I can't come down to a specific. It probably would be like a Tom Nosky, like
Yeah.
Tom, like just to let someone like him know I really admire what you're doing. Don't change a thing, and you don't owe me anything. Just keep doing what you're doing.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice I ever got. Well, I wouldn't say it like a specific quote sticks out to mind, but something I keep repeating to myself is you can't print more time, right? And so to me, I trust me, I want to be ridiculously rich and wealthy. Like I'm pursuing those things. I see money as impact on the world. So it's not, I mean, I'm going to be wearing the same t-shirts and jeans the rest of my life. I'm not concerned about lifestyle. Of course, I would upgrade it a bit, but to me, the you can't print more time is like every time I want to get super deep into work or, you know, I'm not crazy with my phone, but if my 4-year-old comes into the room and has something to tell me that of course is going to be very 4-year-old and not that interesting, it's totally fine. But I'm over looking at my phone, reading an email or something, and he's waiting for me to look at him. I'm just like, what? That's a waste,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't care if on the other end of that email there's like a 5-figure opportunity. I got to put it down
Yeah.
because they just keep printing more money. It's the most common thing on earth, but I'm not going to have that exact moment with him again. And
Yeah.
as cliche as it sounds, like that's the stuff that weighs heavy on me for sure.
Yeah. So what is your motivation every day to wake up to do the work that you do? You're obviously highly driven and focused. What is that motivation every day for you?
I No one's asked me that. I feel like it's something is definitely top of mind all the time, and so I'll just come to the first thing that is entering my mind is literally like I'm just trying to wake up every day to see if I can create and be something great. I don't know. Like I don't have an end date. One of my favorite sayings is focus on the action, not the result. Like I don't tie anything I do to what's on the other end.
Yeah.
It's just connected to I want to do it because it brings me joy, it moves the needle, it helps someone, and I that's it. Like it's I guess that's what someone not me would say like has a like a burning fire inside of me, but I don't know how to describe it aside from I just really want to do it. And
Yeah.
I don't actually know why so much as it speaks to me to do it.
So of all of the ups and downs you've been through and all of the evolution, what are you the proudest of that you've done in your life?
What am I the proudest of? I mean, I'm I'm coming around. I used to be like self-defeating, but I'm really coming around to like I'm proud of a ton of stuff I've done, right? Like for instance, I don't come from the most supportive family in the world, so and I'm the youngest too, so it's kind of like the whole rebel, you're on your own thing anyway, but like by 16, I was still living in the house, but I would have been very happy to leave the house. I am the only person in my family to like go to major cities. So I've lived in Ireland, I've lived in New York, Chicago, the Twin Cities, and now Milwaukee. And those are things that a lot of people from my what I'll call my past life, they just don't understand. Why would you do that? And so areas where I'm proud of myself, I think, is probably just like seeing how much I can handle. Because like those burnouts, for instance, I wouldn't change them. Didn't love it at the time. They were terrible.
Yeah.
But it's a really good, I call it kind of like a true south. If you know what your true south is in terms of what's your bottom, you can put everything in comparison to that and feel pretty damn okay. Like when my heart was skipping beats, or my first burnout, it like stopped for a little bit on the taking off on the plane. I thought I was gonna die, and I'm just like, it's not as bad as that. You're good, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm just proud of those moments where it's like I was taught to be a victim, and I'm not.
Absolutely. Well said. So everyone out there has a perception of you. There's all these different people, family, friends,
Yeah.
clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am? Joe, these questions are amazing. You're really
Good.
making me think.
Good.
Who do I think I am? I have this saying with my employees, I can't say one thing and mean another. And so the person you're getting right now is the exact same person my spouse gets, is the exact same person my kids get, same person my clients and colleagues get. So I would say like who I think I am is who I am. Like I'm trying to be my authentic self every day. I don't care what other people think of me, and that's not because I'm stubborn or egotistical. It's because I truly believe my core self, my core values are trying to help the most people. Not everything's convenient, and sometimes you say the wrong thing or whatever, but that's life. Like it's the messiest thing on earth. So my mission, and maybe tying it back to why I get up every day, is like I am a firm believer that if I go for long enough trying to help the most people to do the right thing for a long enough amount of time, the world will look at me and say, "You're just fine. We're happy with that." And so to me, I'm more like trying to be my authentic self always to earn, not that I want to be famous or recognized, but just to earn being content with what I've done.
So we get off this call, time machine pulls up. You can go anywhere in history, in human history, and see one event with your own eyes. Where are you going? What do you want to see?
Probably surrender at Yorktown, Revolutionary War.
Okay.
I'm just I anything I can get my hands on with that, I'm reading it, watching it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, something about basically I don't think we've had a better president since George Washington, in that there's obviously been some heavy hitters, but he's just and he's a perfect kind of microcosm of what I think anybody who's willing to just put their neck on the line to do is he had no guarantees, and he didn't even want the role, and he did it anyway. It's what he
Yeah.
was meant to do.
So speaking of what you're meant to do, if anyone wants to reach out, hire you, learn more about what you're doing with Delivery Mastery, any of the services that you have, where's the best place to go and do that?
Yeah, so as of recording, I haven't launched Delivery Master yet. That'll be happening in the fall of 2024, and I'm going to cap that at 8 agency owners to start. It will be beneficial for all service providers, but my main mission is I'm not going for a money grab. I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. I've never started a community this specialized before, and so I want to make sure that those people get results. So, the easiest way to guarantee that you'll find these things would be colbywegter.com. So COLBYWEGTER.com. I will create deliverymastery.com in the future, but it's not built yet. And then the place I'm posting every single day is LinkedIn, but shameless plug, I'm leaning into video and hoping that I can provide value there. So look, there are no other Colby Wecters on earth. If you search me on any platform, you will find me. So
You're the one. I love it.
yeah, I got to protect it.
That's it. Exactly. You're the guy. You're the guy. No doppelgangers. Colby, this has been great, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your time. Keep doing the wonderful work, man.
Yeah, Joe, this is amazing. Some of the best questions I've been asked in a long, long time. So I applaud you, and thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. My pleasure, man.